Let's talk about antisocial behaviour first of all, because that's what we mentioned. One of the key concerns in the community. So maybe can you just outline a little bit about how Staffordshire Police is working to try and tackle antisocial behaviour?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So obviously Staffordshire Police, we recognise that antisocial behaviour is something that impacts people's lives quite significantly, and it's our responsibility working alongside with our kind of partnership agencies to ensure that people have the enjoyment of their private life. They feel peace within their homes, they feel peace on the street, they don't feel threatened or intimidated in any way. And it's a real challenge with lots of the challenges we face in society around addiction, drink, etc. For us to work together to ensure that people feel confident that we're working together to be able to reduce antisocial behaviour. So it is a big issue, antisocial behaviour is. It comes in many significant forms, but ultimately it's something that really impacts somebody's quality of life, whether that be inside of the house, outside of the house, in kind of the public sphere. And our aim is ultimately to reduce that people can go about their lives feeling happy, feeling content, and not being disrupted by any forms of antisocial behaviour.
Yeah. And I believe you've been involved in trying to increase patrols where there have been certain hotspots, certain targeted areas where there's a lot of antisocial behaviour that's being reported. Tell me about that and what results you're seeing from that.
Yeah, so absolutely. So this is a government initiative to, in essence, it's actually 1960s evidence base in and around what we call hotspots policing. So in essence, it's an overlay of lots of information to tell us where our antisocial hotspots, antisocial behaviour hotspots are within the county, particularly within the city, and how we kind of address them in partnerships, the visibility and being within the right locations at the right time. So there were a number that were identified within the county and the city, and ultimately what that meant was an increase in patrols, an increase in kind of partnership work to ultimately try and drive down that antisocial behaviour and to bring back the confidence within communities and people. So what we did see within the 12 identified hotspots, and 9 of those were in Stoke-on-Trent, a significant reduction compared to other areas of the force in antisocial behaviour. So it was around antisocial behaviour and most serious violence, but what we did see was a real anomaly. So in essence, the evidence bases that supported what we were trying to do showed that crime fell, that antisocial behaviour fell, that the confidence that communities had in us was increasing. And actually, when we look at the kind of qualitative piece on speaking to communities, it's what they wanted to see. Officers visible within communities, reducing antisocial behaviour. Let's be brutally honest, this probably isn't rocket science.
Yeah.
If the police are in the areas where we know that our data tells us that we're going to see a significant increase, and actually us being there, it probably will prevent and deter that kind of criminality and antisocial behaviour.
Yeah. It seems like a simple idea. More patrols, less crime, less antisocial behaviour.
It is, but I suppose the element in relation to the kind of academia is actually that through understanding the data, we're in those locations at absolutely the right time. So it's not just a kind of carte blanche of you're here, but then it's what you take place in the background to the kind of problem solving piece. So although we're there, and I know we're seeing reductions, what does a resolution look like within partnerships? What is causing this antisocial behaviour? It could be something structural. It could be something lighting. It could be something that there's an element of a lack of youth provision within an area. Yeah. So what does a solution look like to bring about long-standing change within an area, not just the limitations of what a visible patrol will bring? So how do we bring about long-standing change?
As I speak to you today, it's your first day in a new role.
It is.
Tell me a bit about what this new role is.
Yeah, so previously I was head of local policing response and criminal investigation department. As of today, I'm head of 3 Ps, prevention, problem solving and partnerships within Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent. So it's a new role. Ultimately there's a recognition within policing and across the whole public sector that we can't do these things in isolation. So how do we bring together the partnership sphere to be able to deliver solutions for communities, ultimately right people, right place, right time, and a far more effective use of public spend.
Yeah. And there was a recent inspection of Staffordshire Police, if you will, of how different areas were performing. And I think partnerships was one of the areas that was singled out for praise.
Yes,
which is good.
Yep.
And so presumably you want to build and add to partnerships to help tackle wider issues that affect policing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We through the whole public sector, we're working in extremely challenging financial times, but where the complexities and increase in crime can often be quite significant. So we need to work far smarter. We need to work in partnerships, and with the community being an absolute key partner to be able to deliver long-standing solutions. So it's not just, we could in essence increase our patrols where kind of money and time permitted, but absolutely what we need to bring about is long-standing solutions, and that's the aim of the kind of partnerships, actually bringing all the key partners, third sector, public sector, communities together to bring about long-standing change in the communities, to make safer environments that people feel confident to be in.
And I guess that whole thing around prevention and problem solving, you as a police force, you can't tackle these issues alone.
Absolutely. The thing is with prevention and problem solving, it's a harder thing to measure with regard to what you prevented, and it really is, and that can be and often things where early kind of intervention, prevention can sometimes be stood down too early because we don't see the benefits. But actually good police service, good public services work together to understand what the long-standing solutions are to change, sometimes working 10, 15 years in advance to understand some of the kind of social, some of the economic, some of the kind of crime elements that we can kind of remedy together in the public sector, which will bring a long-standing change rather than just reactive elements of policing of what has happened. So there's different, kind of primary, secondary, tertiary elements of kind of problem solving, and some of these are problem solving to crime patterns where we know there's been repeat locations of victims, offenders, and how we kind of work about that. But then some of it is, what is crime going to look like in 5 years' time? What are our problems? When we talk about Hanley Town Centre, when we're working together towards a kind of brighter future, what does that look like, and what do we need to anticipate to ensure what some of our problems are going to be, and try and bring about a resolution before they've even occurred? It's a hard one to do.
Well, time's running away from us, but good luck in your new role.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us at Crossroads Radio.
No, thank you for having me.